Welcome to This is Concrete, a podcast where we speak with the people whose work revolves around concrete and coatings. Let's get to what you came for.
Hello, this is Chad Gill here. I am the host of the Get the Intel podcast, where I talk with leaders in contracting, management, and really anyone helping us do business better. This episode is brought to you by Laminin Coaching. Laminin is a business coaching company with a focus on contractors in and around construction. We are not only help with proposing solutions, but methods and implement them in your business as well. After all, good ideas are not useful until they're implemented. Ready to evaluate your business? Visit us at laminincoach.com and see a full range of services. Global Polishing Solutions is another sponsor of this podcast. GPS is an industrial, commercial, concrete polishing, floor coating, and floor covering company with an IS Net World membership. GPS is capable of handling intricate projects from warehouses and data centers to designs for retail and commercial spaces. We firmly believe in prioritizing safety, quality, client contentment, while providing durable floor systems. Explore our full range of services at globalpolishingsolutions.com today. So joining me today is Nick Dedman, a seasoned construction industry professional, and he's been instrumental in shaping the field for over a decade, and he is now the founder of Electrolink Chargers. He's utilizing his extensive experience to revolutionize electric vehicle charging infrastructure and coming out of contracting and into sales and infrastructure, which is kind of cool. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
So where did you start, and how do you end up with charging cars?
Yeah, so I'm a fifth generation general contractor, so I didn't really have a choice whether or not to be a contractor or not. So there's a lot of us like that. So we grow up in the business, we learn a lot of it. I went to college, ran away from it for a little bit, and then found my way right back into it. Started from the very basic of doing residential remodel to ground up multifamily, ground up parking structures, and then eventually found myself in the commercial TI world, which I spent about the last 9 years doing commercial TI.
So how do you exit that and get into this?
Yeah, so we obviously know that COVID was a challenge. We all had to pivot to be able to survive, which we were able to do. And then once COVID was over, we were faced with a whole new set of problems, especially in the TI business where people didn't want to come back to the office. And so me, forecasting, learning the business and understanding how I wanted to work every day, I was starting to realize that this once upon a time recession-proof industry on the commercial TI side was it had the ability to have some problems, and it was being affected by the recession. We were seeing, a bunch of people moving out, downsizing, TI dollars were shrinking, and it just became a lot harder. And so my idea was to come up with a different business model that was able to not only sell in my local area in Southern California and in California where I'm licensed, but be able to sell nationally and internationally. So that way we could, have a much larger clientele base.
So how do you how did you just happen? Did you have an electric car and you're like, man, there's nowhere to plug this thing in, and so now I'm just going to get into chargers? Or did you start doing chargers and think I better get an electric car?
No, my wife drives an electric car. I still drive a Dodge Ram. I was approached when I was a GC to do installs for chargers, and we started to see a very high demand for installs. And so what I did when I started seeing a high demand for installs, I started to understand what the material was being used, what the software was being used. And then I started researching, and I developed a relationship at CES in Las Vegas with a manufacturer and a software developer. And from there, we were able to create our brand, and have the units that we have now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what vehicles can you charge with it?
It's a universal charger. So they're level 2 chargers and level 3 chargers. And so they can charge any car. And with Tesla has a little adapter that they sell, or that they give each Tesla car. And they basically plug that adapter into their car, and then our charging plug will plug into that.
Wow. So are you, and so, I mean, how many of these things are going in? I mean, how many of these things are being sold across the country right now? I mean, you see, I mean,
Oh,
about
thousands,
really.
thousands. Yeah. So, I think right now the US has close to 200,000 chargers right now. And the goal is to get it to about 2 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's in the next 10 years, there's going to be quite a boom for it.
So, I mean, where are they pulling power from when they're charging these? Does each one have a meter and then the company is paying it, or what?
Yeah. So it's exactly what it is. So each charging little block has its own meter. And what is really cool about the software is the software takes the kilowatts that are used for the meter, and the software generates and it pays a reimbursement check back to the owner of the building so that they can pay their electric bill.
So, do they lease space inside of parking lots and stuff like that? Is that how it works?
We don't lease. We don't do land lease. We actually sell the chargers to the owners of the building, or the property manager, or whoever's there, the tenant. And then we just provide the software management for them.
Is there a pretty good return on having one of these in a facility that you own?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great return. So my model is slightly different than the other competitor models, because I came from the GC world, and I started to understand, as I studied the other models, where the hiccups were. So a lot of the hiccups were in maintenance and downtime, because these units get installed, an electrician goes out there, puts it together. They work for about a year, and then they go down. But there's no incentive for the electrician to go back out there and fix it, right? They're gonna get like what, a $200 service call fee. They don't care about that. And so what I did was I am closing the loop on that the system that's failed, and that's the downtime. And by doing that is I've have preferred electrical vendors, subcontractors that are strategically placed around the US, and they get to participate in the revenue share of the units. And so now they become a partner of the unit. So now they become incentivized to fix that unit faster, so that we have better uptime. Because when they're not running, they're not making part of the monthly revenue.
So, what is the cost per unit, and what is like the ROI on one of these things?
Yeah.
Because depends
So
on people charge, right?
yeah, a standard unit is about $6,000. It's a level 2 charger. The ROI on it is about 2 years.
Wow. So pay back
So
in 2 years.
yeah, exactly. And each unit for an owner, it makes about $3,500 per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then
it's a
on top
long.
of that, there's tax credits that they get. There's a federal tax credit. They have local credits if they're available, things of that sort.
And how much power do you need to have to run one of these things? I mean, I'm thinking about contractors, putting them in their yards and stuff like that.
Yeah. The level 2 charger that we have is 50 amps.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's 12 kilowatts.
And how fast is, I mean, it charges the car pretty quickly?
Yeah. So level 2 is meant for places that you're going to be at between 2 and 4 hours per day. And the level 3 DC fast charging is where you're going to get full charges, in that 30-minute range. And the idea of charging is kind of switching the mindset of how people fuel their cars, right? We're so in this mindset, like run it to a quarter tank, see the nearest gas station, fill back up, right? Run it to empty. How many times we're like, oh, I got 5 miles left. I got to find a gas station, right?
Yeah.
But with the charging world, it's different. It's, hey, I have a charger at my house. I'm going to charge a little bit here. There's a charger at my office. I'm going to charge at my office. And these are daily routines instead of weekly routines. So it's slightly switching the mindset of them. So majority of people, I mean, obviously you're going to have people that are going to be scrambling to find a charger because they're, almost at zero. But majority of the people that we're seeing charging, they have a half a tank already. They have 3/4 of a tank already. Their goal is just to stay, above half. And they're
that doesn't damage batteries. You always hear let it go all the way empty and then charge it all the way up.
Yeah, I'm not a professional on batteries, so I can't give any info on that. But I do know that you have settings on your charging on your car. So like with our Tesla, we only charge it to 90% full. And that's one of the factory settings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty interesting. This is growing. Is it growing pretty well, keeping you busy and that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, every day. I mean, I was in Palm Springs yesterday, 8 hours, back to back meetings, came home, and it's daily.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is, who knows, man? Talk about it. You want to call it a niche market, but 2 million chargers is not a niche market if you get that going. That's a lot of.
And this whole system is different than a traditional sales because it's so new. We're not necessarily selling; we're educating. So it's just slightly different.
Is there enough infrastructure? Like you hear people talk about the grid stability and those kind of things. Do you pull power off peak and those kind of things? Does the software work for that as well?
The software helps distribute the energy depending on what's available. The grid question comes up quite a bit because it is a fear. And who knows what's going to happen with that? I don't work for Edison or any of those people. But what I would assume, just in my brain of mine, is that as demand goes up, the infrastructure is going to go up for them. But I'm sure there's way smarter people out there than me for trying to figure that out.
That's right. Everybody stay in their lane, do their part.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, where do we, is there a website we can go to check out and kind of learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, everyone can go to electrolinkchargers.com.
Okay.
And they go on there and check it out. And our email's on there. They can send us an email or contact me direct.
Fantastic. We'll put a link in the podcast notes to it. And I appreciate your time, man. It's always interesting to hear about these new businesses that are coming around and different ways of doing work.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to This is Concrete. We look forward to you joining us next time. Be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.